Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Into the Ether with Luna again. I hope this time my video works. The other one stopped working. So I'm redoing, restarting again. I am broadcasting here from Vancouver, and I would like to have a continuation of the video that I started yesterday, talking about the reverse aging process technique or ritual that has to do with the pineal gland and melatonin, which is basically to expose the pineal gland to darkness for a certain period of time and then expose it to the sun so that it can create a super serotonin, and basically through the endogenous DMT that the pineal gland produces in your brain, you kind of like basically acid trip and after 40 days of darkness and then taken out to the world again, you have reversed from 15 to 20 years in the way you look, just because your DNA has been altered by the power of the energy of the melatonin in your pineal gland. That's how powerful our pineal gland has been, or it is, and that's why it has been tried to be suppressed by the power and control forces through mind control, TV, radio, news, energy supply, well, of course, energy supply, fossil fuels and all that stuff, meat consumption, genetically modified food, pesticides, vaccines, blah, 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 and all these things. Just fluoride in the water and everywhere, bad science, hidden secrets, just so that we are not aware that we are sovereign over ourselves, that we are not slaves, and that we are not meant to be controlled by anybody. And that through the power of our will, we can actually keep ourselves vibrating higher and healthy and not being controlled by them. Who is them? The 1%. We already know who we're talking about here. The Illuminati, the reptilians, however you want to call it, the dark forces right now here on Earth and all over the galaxy and the universe. So that is my point and what I wanted to get into yesterday. I believe it is important for me to share this information with you. And in case you are interested in following up with what I have to share with you, you are welcome to go and subscribe to Gaia.com and listen to all this information through your own eyes and through your own will and through your own needle or perception, and investigate through your own self whether the information that I'm going to share with you right now is true or not. Why suppressing the pineal gland? Well, because it's the one who connects us to our higher self and to higher awareness. One of the ways that the power and control forces have been suppressing us from access to our pineal, the power of our pineal gland, is through chemtrails. Because one of the main purposes of chemtrails, other than to control, than have weather manipulation for drought, so that they can create seeds that are drought resistant and shit like that. Because if you control the food supply, you control the population and blah, 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 and so on and so on. But one of the purposes of the chemtrails is so that All those fucking chemicals that are out there in the atmosphere are actually preventing somehow. I mean, they think they're successful with this, but they're actually not. Somehow they are, but yes, they are preventing not only getting us sick, but they are preventing somehow the power of the light of the central sun and our own sun in our own galaxy to come in through our third eye or our eyes, or basically our pineal gland, so that we do not wake up and keep being slaves to society, is what I am saying. Keep playing this game of victimhood and forgetting that we are actually gods that can actually manipulate and create the outcome of this planet. And that's why they want to keep us dormant and not awake. Because one of the laws of the universe is that it requires a lot of entities that are vibrating in a higher density energy to manifest things here in matter. But it requires a very, 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 very little tiny amount of people who are vibrating at Christ energy, at higher than 4 density energy, through their hearts and their intention to manifest an awesome fucking outcome in matter. So what I am saying is that, do we want all these catastrophes to happen and wiped out a lot of the percentage of our population? No, we don't want that. We don't have to buy into that reality, because that's precisely one of the things that they have implanted in our psyche through the methods that I already mentioned, to believe that we have to die and that we have short lifespans. And one of the reasons why they have created this in our DNA is so that we don't have enough time to figure it out. So that basically we're born, and if we're lucky, we die at 80 or 90, if we're lucky, and still didn't figure out why the fuck we're here on Earth, or what the fuck our purpose is, because our life spans have been purposely altered so that they are actually short. But it's actually not our DNA, it's actually our belief system believing in the death science, because actually death is a disease. Death is not actually natural. We are actually supposed to control our lifespan and when we want to leave this beautiful vessel to continue on in other journeys, in other dimensions, in other planets, according to the choices of our soul. But that thing of disease and cancer and death is just a manipulation created by the forces that are right now. So that's why it is important to wake up and know that we are not slaves of that. So a lot of that has to do with the awareness of the power of the pineal gland. So chemtrails, there's many things that are hidden. Of course, many people are aware of the chemtrails and these secret programs that are happening. For instance, that false belief that we die and that we actually perish is created at the collective level, at the collective psychic level. And so that's why we turn older and diseased and perished and die, because it's just a collective agreement. But in reality, what has been hidden from us is the electroplasmic model of the universe. So the physics that we have learned so far are bullshit. And what is and how the universe really works is at electroplasmic model level. This means that everything is quantum, We are familiar with the quantum physics, or of course, and our pineal gland has a lot to do with the quantum world and how we can affect the matter and the outcome and the reality of the development of this universe and the destiny of humanity as a species. So we have been manipulated. We already know that the Tesla technology was, we know it since a long time ago. The United States government has known since the 50s, along with the Nazi Germany, the technology for flying saucers, UFOs, as we call it them. Well, it's really not rocket science, and it's not like things that are, you know, it's actually real technology that has to do with the proper use of electromagnetic fields, materials, and geometrical patterns and thought patterns that can make an object travel through wormholes or just through space and time and basically disappear and appear, and through portals, through galaxies, through infinite multiverses, and through infinite universes. Because all you have to do is give it the coordinates. Is it possible? Well, of course it is possible. Haven't we seen in all the history of our life that UFOs have been appearing to humankind since ancient Egypt and way beyond that? Why? Because we are actually fucking coming from the stars. So we are the ones that we've been waiting for, and then the freaking Illuminatis want to make us believe that they are the lords of this universe because they were the first inhabitants of this earth before Adam and Eve, and they're actually the ones who created DNA, manipulated. Yes, we are a DNA manipulation coming from a lot of ET DNA. And it turns out to be that life is so beautiful, and because God is within us, we are actually awakening to the fact that we are actually sovereign and not slaves of all this bullshit electromagnetic creation that are keeping us slaves to wars, starvation, and an economic system that is actually not working. So what is important about this? So first of all, I want to share with you many things that are being hidden from the public knowledge, and then tell you the real importance of this knowledge to know. So there is a secret space program since a long time ago. The United States government, the Russians, and China. Well, not really China, but the United States government and Russia have stations over there, out there, in space that are actually having interaction with ET civilization, and they are all doing their own research over there since a long time ago. And another thing that they are hiding from humanity is that in Antarctic, they have been excavating since a long time ago, since Hitler, actually Hitler was hidden there after they were looking for him. But basically was what I'm saying, that is in Antarctica, there is holes inside the ice that have been excavated by different governments. Of course, agents, secret agencies, the secret part of the government, because not everybody knows this. And over there in Antarctica, inside the crust of the ice, there are cities and hundreds of people, not only terrestrial but extraterrestrial as well. There's a long story why they are there and why they. There's a fucking long story. But what I am saying is that right now in Antarctica, there are different governments that have access to free energy devices. So propulsion, electromagnetic propulsion is what I'm saying, UFOs, things that can travel faster than the speed of light and through wormholes and go back and forth in space and time, because actually time is not linear as we have thought to believe it is. This is just a collective construct of our psyche. And so they have access to this technology. They have had it for a long fucking time. Actually, Hitler was helping these specific type of ETs that are called the reptilians, who are actually the ones that are right now in power. Talking about, like, for instance, the royal family of Britain and things like that, and everybody who's controlling, like the Rothschilds and this all fake bullshit crappy economic system that once you figure it out, you will totally snap out of your credit cards and get your money out of your bank and restart your own food and your own local economic system, blah, 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 and so forth and so forth. All this is just to basically keep us a slave from the technology, keep us a slave to the fossil fuels, keep us a slave to basically the destruction of our own world. I know this is hard to believe, but I have actually seen pictures of the Secretary of State of the United States of America on election day going to Antarctica, and other characters like Prince Harris from Britain, the son of Lady Di, visiting their Antarctica, because apparently these underground cities are the new Disney World entertainment for the people who are in power. Interesting, no? And hard to believe. I know that all these sound so crazy, but I am just giving you a heads up of the information that is going to start happening and has been happening through the movies and through tabloids and through certain, like, underground newspapers and things like that, or through Gaia.com, that is actually a real information source, and through many things, because there are at this moment treaties that have happened between the people that are having control here on Earth and the Alliance, or the sources of light, so to speak, so that there is disclosure of everything that they know, so that humanity knows what has been happening and going on. So disclosure is going to bring a lot of anger into humanity after they know, they realize, or we realize, how manipulated we have been in so many ways. And unfortunately, anger can drive us to the wrong place. But actually, these power and control forces, for those of us who have the knowledge to see that they are actually acting as a catalyst for transformation, like the yin and the yang, we are going through the process of being very younger and through all the processes of grief and depression, non-accepting, anger, wanting to kill them and shit like that. Many of them are going to disappear justice. Many of them are going to be brought to justice. And shit is going to hit the fan. But what is important to know is that for them, the dark, let's put it the dark forces, but they're not the dark forces. Let's put it that they are the yin and the yang. Let's say we are the yin, they are the yang. They are acting as a catalyst for us to awake. So yes, they have hiding from us the technology. The technology and the electroplasmic model of the universe, and the power of our pineal gland, and the existence of other beings in this multiverse. The ETs, like actually right there in Antarctica, they have tons of labs of many different ET DNA manipulations between extraterrestrials and humans. The elongated skulls that hold a bigger pineal gland, like the Egyptians, and things like that. So many things that are happening over there. And they don't want us to know. They want you to believe that you were created from Adam and Eve, and that there is a God over here that tells you you're good, and then there, or that you're bad, and then there, if you're bad after you die, you go to hell, or things like that, or that you should feel guilty for who you are, or that you should follow the rules of society, and things like that, or that you should have credit cards, or that you should vaccinate your children, or that you should vaccinate yourself, and things like that. It's actually pretty creepy, because all this is just a fight for consciousness. So basically, it's you either work for the evil or you work for God or for the light. So it's basically like Star Wars, but from the magic point of view, because we are working with alchemy here and with magic. So why I want to share this with you is because if you are aware that you actually come from God, and that actually God is within you, and that God is I. It's like the I consciousness. And that you have access within yourself to all the knowledge of the universe. Actually, the multiverse, because there's infinite universes happening, infinite multiple realities happening right now. It just depends that you tune in to the one according to your vibration. So that's why they don't want you to do. They don't want you to have a higher vibration, because a higher vibration brings up a positive outcome. And a positive outcome means that we don't have to go through hell to attain the golden age. Of course, catalysts are going to happen. Some cataclysms, economic changes, and shit like that. But we also have other civilizations that have gone through this shit before and have been successful, and we are actually being helped by those civilizations right now in the real physical level and at the psychic level through telepathic communication. So all the universe, and up there the higher beings that are vibrating higher than us and are other dimensions have a very vast interest that as human beings figure out for ourselves how to snap out of this slavery, because it is important that the whole universe and the whole multiverse ascends in consciousness as a whole. So it's not that there are going to be some beings over here that are super high, developedly spiritually, and then others over here super crappy eating shit. No. They have to bring everybody and all the whole up into raising up consciousness. And we as human beings are very, very important because our consciousness is so powerful. It's one of the most powerful consciousness, like in the multiverse. That's why it is important for the beings that are working with light, like the archangels, angels, archangels, gods, blah blah blah, the blue avians, the blue avians, the Hathors. So many people that are working with us, like brothers and sisters, to lift up our vibration and snap out from slavery, is so that they can ascend as well, because they cannot leave anybody behind. The whole purpose of the universe is to ascend in consciousness. And what does that mean? That means that we all ascend in the awareness that we are all one and belong to one consciousness, singularity. Even the bad guys, yes, those reptilian guys, yes, even those are our brothers and sisters. Even the little old lady with the crown full of jewelry over here, even that one. The most evil of all. Well, guess what? It's probably one of the biggest catalysts of all for us to snap into Christ consciousness and move into the heart level and be connected to love. And through awareness, create the outcome that we want for our civilization. So this is my point. Once we know the agenda of the dark forces, once we know the power that lies within our own hearts and our own psychic and our own pineal gland and our own connection, brotherhood and sisterhood and awareness that we all are all one, and the more we are empowered within ourselves to believe in that, then we can magically shift this reality from 3 density to 4th and 5th and more densities and so on. What does that mean? That means that right now, so many people are suffering because of diseases and because of starvation and because they have to work shifts and shitty jobs from 7 in the morning to 6 p.m. and not have holidays and suffer from disease and suffer from depression and suffer from lack of money and suffer from lack of food and suffer from stress and get cancer. And all that bullcrap that is bullshit created is not true. Once we realize that we have the power to create healing and to raise up our vibration and don't give access to that lower vibrational energy to come into our field, is when we take control over our own lives and over the destiny of this planet. And not only the planet, but this multiverse, as I am saying. So, what is important? It is important for us to reach the 100th monkey effect, so that one at a time that is enlightened in their power, then all of a sudden we just snap like that and shift into the golden age. But what is important for us to hit that 100 monkey effect and become powerful within ourselves is basically three things. To know and accept ourselves. So know thyself. Accept yourself. No fear, no guilt, no shame, no regret. Love yourself. Because when you are loving yourself, you are loving the collective. The only way to change the collective and the energy of the collective is by loving yourself. So, I particularly have chosen to quit smoking cigarettes just so that I can raise up the vibration of my own energy field that I have control over, so that I create a ripple effect over those around me and the collective and you and you and you and you and you and so on and so forth, for starters. So it's basically one step at a time. Not eating junk food, meditating, having affirmations that change and alter my DNA, being aware of the power of the pineal gland and my connection to my higher self and God without having to have intermediaries like religion, for example. And the other thing, after knowing yourself, accepting yourself, is looking for the creator within. So basically look for all the answers within. And being super positive that we are going to be all right. And that all these dark forces and catalysts that are happening right now are just that, catalysts for us to ascend in human consciousness. So basically what I am saying is that the only way for us to snap out of this slavery is to live from our heart chakra, knowing that we are all one. Is there anything that I would like to share with you? Basically, that's what it is. That the only way to win this war against the dark forces that have been handling the multiverse for a long, long time, or that we have actually been playing the game of the yin and the yang for so long, and it will continue to be for eternity. As it ever was, it will always be. Is to love ourselves. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Peace. I love you all. Cheers.